On our wedding anniversary, my husband cheated on me with an influencer. I pretended I knew nothing and kept acting like the perfect, loving wife. At midnight, Dawn hid in the bathroom, whispering to her like a whipped puppy. "Baby, I swear, you're the only one I love. I'll never touch her." On my talk show, that same little mistress sat across from me as the guest of honor, speaking with perfect poise. Love doesn't care who showed up first. The one who isn't loved is the real third wheel. The studio audience erupted in thunderous applause. She stared straight into the camera and challenged me. If a public figure like Vance were cheated on, would she forgive? I arched a brow. "You sure you want me to answer that?" Before she could nod, I lifted the ice water from the table and poured it over her head, then followed up with several loud, ringing slaps. "I'm not as generous as you. Whoever tries to wreck my marriage, I'll personally drag them straight to hell." Hailey let out an ear-splitting shriek. I instinctively raised my hands to cover my ears. That sound, just as grating as the one I'd heard outside the car door that night. I couldn't understand it. Why would Julian cheat with a groundhog? Realizing I'd almost laughed out loud, I quickly rearranged my face into an apologetic mask. I bowed 3 times in succession to the tear-soaked Hailey. Her cheeks were swollen, wet hair plastered to her forehead, as she screamed, "Skylar! What the hell are you doing?" Hailey, the influencer with 10 million followers, was the special guest on this week's episode of Good. On stage, she chatted brightly about her philosophy of love. Love doesn't care who showed up first. The one who isn't loved is the real third wheel. She claimed she'd been raised under strict rules, had never dated, and believed in one love for one lifetime. Her Pure Girl brand sent the audience into cheers and whistles. Then we reached the Q&A. I tossed out the day's topic. "Dawn, what's your take on cheating in marriage?" Without missing a beat, she said, "A true gentleman helps others fulfill their desires. If you really love someone, let him go so Dawn can pursue the one Dawn truly loves. Wouldn't that be better?" The audience exploded. Wow, our Hailey's so kind. No wonder I've loved her for years. Hailey's morals are flawless. Whoever marries her will be the luckiest guy alive. She's adorable. I'm waving the biggest flag for Hailey. Facing the camera, Hailey shot me a look of pure provocation. "I have a question for the host. If a public figure like Vance were cheated on, how would she deal with the other woman?" Old hatred and fresh rage surged together. I arched a brow. "You sure you want me to answer that?" Before she could nod, I grabbed the ice water and dumped it over her head. If you want to be a mistress, at least look in a mirror first. Some people need a cold splash to wake up. Hailey twisted frantically, but the icy water still slithered down her hair and under her clothes, making her shiver. "Have you lost your mind?" All she could do was glare and shriek, "Skylar, you be, ah." I swung with every ounce of strength, landing a vicious slap. "Maybe I have lost it, because I'm not as generous as you. Whoever tries to wreck my marriage, I'll personally drag them straight to hell. Better to go crazy than to rot inside." On our anniversary night, Julian never came home. I'd cleared my schedule, filled the house with flowers, and cooked a candlelit dinner, waiting for him to walk through the door. Dawn video called me, beaming, "Skylar, guess who I just spotted? It's Hailey, she's doing a book signing. I'm going to get her autograph." On screen, Hailey was surrounded by adoring fans. I smiled and told him to come home early. Hailey was Julian's idol, beautiful, intellectual, pure, talented. Dawn owned every book she'd ever written. As a famous influencer, it wasn't weird Dawn wanted her signature. But I waited from dusk until after midnight. Julian still wasn't back. I rang him over and over, no answer. Worried something had happened, I was ready to call the police. Fortunately, the Maybach was registered in my name. I filed it as vehicle lost and tracked it to the basement garage under his office. Flickering light. Inside the car, Two naked shadows rose and fell, rose and fell. I stood outside. Every drop of blood in my veins froze, the world collapsed into ruins around me. Accompanied by those obscene moans, a roar flooded my ears. The fall from heaven to hell took only a heartbeat. Amid the audience's gasps, I watched Hailey sit on the floor in disgrace. Her once innocent face was now streaked and filthy. Feigning remorse, I helped her up and offered a towel. "Dawn, I'm so sorry. I got carried away by the scene." Hailey flung my hand off and tried to slap me back. I seized her wrist mid-swing. "A true influencer, you just gave an imaginary scenario and I fell right into character. I hate cheaters and homewreckers as much as you do, that's why I snapped. Someone as gracious and smart as you couldn't possibly stay angry, right?" Her face was black with rage, but she hissed through clenched teeth, "Of course not." I knew once I'd crowned her with that halo, she wouldn't dare tear it off on camera. The minute taping ended, Lola squeezed through the crowd to my side. "Skylar, that was epic." I took the warm water she offered and drained it. "Epic enough to drown me in Hailey's fan rage." Lola wiggled her brows. "I'll have the team bury the hashtag." "Don't. Hire paid trolls to come after me, the nastier the better." "Got it." Lola knows me best, she never questions my calls. Like today, she knows I drink only warm water, yet she still set a glass of ice water on the table because I asked. "Skylar." As I stepped off stage, Julian blocked my path. Dawn's never liked sitting in on my tapings. Tonight Dawn'd come early and taken a front row seat. Dawn'd watched every second of the drama. His gaze slid past me toward Hailey, a flash of heartbreak in his eyes. "Skylar, that outburst was unprofessional. You need to post a public apology to Dawn, now." Dawn wore the same icy face Dawn brings to board meetings. Sounded like concern, was really outrage on his mistress's behalf. I laughed coldly and slapped him hard. "Skylar?" Dawn stared, stunned. "Need a reminder of who your wife is?" Panic flickered across his face. "I didn't mean it like that, Skylar." I misspoke. Julian's parents died young. Dawn worked odd jobs to pay tuition and lived hand to mouth. That forged his proud, lonely shell. Back in college, Hailey was an unknown blogger, scribbling sentimental lines. Those lines carried Julian through his solitary youth. Then Dawn met me. I used Dad's network to move him into the spotlight, taught him to navigate high society, stood beside him at every gala. Dawn once swore on everything, "If I ever wrong Skylar, let my body rot and stink while I'm still breathing." After we married, Dad bankrolled Sterling for him. To give him room, I blunted my own edge, quit hovering over boardrooms, and settled for a low-profile hosting gig. Now the company's about to IPO and Dawn's a headline fixture. Dawn's also forgotten what loyalty smells like. Disgust churned in my chest, as if I'd bitten into an apple and found half a worm. Dawn caught my shudder. "Skylar, are you okay?" I fisted his collar and vomited right down the front of his immaculate suit. "Julian, back off. You stink." The smell of him actually made me nauseous enough to vomit. Right now, Skylar no longer loves Julian at all. Online, every other word from fans is a curse aimed at me. But I know Hailey won't let this go. She took a slap from me for nothing, she'll make me pay a steeper price. I wait patiently. 3 days later, the producer calls an emergency meeting. In front of everyone, Dawn orders me to quit the show good. Sunlight pours through the tall windows, spattering mottled light across the conference table. I stand slowly from my chair and stare at the producer's balding head in the distance. His eyes narrow, voice flat. "Skylar, starting today you're moving behind the camera." I smile, pretending not to notice the faint red mark half hidden beneath his collar. Ever since I became host, Good S ratings have only gone up. Why bench me? The producer glares, slaps the table with a crack. You're arrogant and you assaulted a guest on air. Count yourself lucky we're not firing you. Dawn roars at me, and every head in the room swivels my way. What are you talking about? When did I assault anyone? I spread my hands, all innocence. Who exactly did I ignore? Which guest did I hit? Tell me. Skylar. Don't think strong numbers give you carte blanche. You struck Hailey for no reason on set, and we've got proof. Dawn jabs a finger at the camera guy. Roll it for her. Whispers ripple across the room. The audience never saw the uncut clip, but we've got the raw file. Skylar can't talk her way out. High ratings don't matter now, she's headed for ice-cold storage. Good thing the producer's fair and won't play favorites. Under their watchful gaze, I straighten my spine and face the huge screen. Since you insist, I won't object. But if I'm innocent, you'll keep your promise and step down as producer. My eyes are steady, allowing no refusal. The producer's face darkens. Don clenches his teeth. Fine. Deal. On the monitor, Hailey asks, if a public figure like Skylar were cheated on, how would she handle the mistress? I look shocked. The camera zooms in as Hailey arches a brow and mouths something more. Any seasoned host can read the unspoken words in an interview. Lip reading is basic training. Everyone in the room catches the silent taunt. Go on, hit me if you dare. Gasps break out. I feign dismay. What could I do? She told me to hit her. I only obeyed for the sake of the show. Now I'm scapegoated and benched. I'm more wrong than doughy. The producer looks like Dawn swallowed bile. Enough. Dawn barks. It was all a misunderstanding. Lucky it didn't hurt the program. Case closed. Dawn scrambles to end the meeting. Not so fast. I give a cold laugh and call after him, producer, don't forget your promise. The producer is the ace Hailey saved for 3 days. She fronts a pure girl brand while behind the curtain she specializes in luring married men. Her traffic is built on seduction. After I slapped her, I banished Julian to the guest room. His scent disgusts me. Hailey, seeing our marriage crack, tries to saw through the last pillars of my career, hoping to leave me nowhere to stand. She beds my direct boss and whispers poison in his ear. What she doesn't expect is that I can flip the tables and seize the active role. Of course the producer won't resign. I decide to help him pack. That night I upload footage of Hailey leaving his office half-dressed. I add a self-shot clip. Hailey, please tell the truth. You begged me to hit you on camera. I did exactly as you asked, yet I'm the villain. Netizens tear me apart, and now, because of you and the producer, I'm losing my job. We've no quarrel, why are you doing this? My name and Hailey rocket to the top of the trending list. Hashtag good host Skylar bullied hashtag Hailey. Producer's shady secrets hashtag Skylar by Hailey. 2 clips explode across the internet. Public opinion flips overnight. No wonder steady Skylar slapped her, Hailey literally asked for it. She stages drama to hype her sweet victim brand, then flips it on the host? Vile. Something deeper's going on. Why does Hailey hate Skylar enough to trap her? I morph from aggressor to pitiful victim. The producer is forced to resign. Hailey disables comments and halts her daily live streams. Julian finds me, worry flickering in his eyes. Skylar, why twist the facts? Hailey isn't like that. A cold laugh echoes in my heart. Dawn still believes her even with proof on the table. My eyes redden, voice shaking. I'm the wronged one here, yet you side with a stranger. Husband, are you in love with Hailey? You're making me feel so unsafe. When it comes to acting, I leave Hailey in the dust. Julian softens at my trembling tone. I do believe you. I just don't want you dragged into endless fights. Hailey's my idol, after all. Let's drop this for everyone's sake, okay? I can let it go. I lift my face in a playful pout. If you give me your laptop password. That's the only way I'll feel secure. After the slap scandal, Julian and I play the perfect couple for the cameras. Dawn showers me with jewels and bags to apologize. I photograph every gift, add a hand-holding selfie, and post, "Thanks for the pampering, my dear Sterling." In public we're sickeningly sweet, in private Dawn can't even cross my bedroom threshold. While Dawn's distracted, I quietly open offshore accounts and liquidate my properties, ferrying the money abroad. Hailey calls Julian frantically. I forward every ring to my own phone. She weeps in a video. "Julian, why won't you answer? You said I'm the one you love. Don't touch that woman, my body belongs only to you." I chuckle, swipe delete, and snap a shot of Julian lounging on the sofa in a bathrobe, posting it with a heart emoji. For the first time I taste the high of snatching someone else's treasure. That night Hailey tweets a late-night selfie of her drowning her sorrows. Busybody fans tag me, "Skylar, look what you've done to our baby Hailey." Sweetie, ease up on the booze, your health matters, poor Hailey. Half an hour later Lola's account drops photos of me in a clinic, ending with an official diagnosis: pressures after the slap incident pushed Skylar into major clinical depression. She now needs daily therapy. Comment section swing to my defense, hammering Hailey. From my treatment of Julian, Lola has pieced the story together. She hugs me, "Don't cry, Skylar. Chalk those years up to feeding a stray." No, Dawn's worse than a mutt, gnawing old bones like a starved dog. I burst out laughing. Exactly. A mutt shows gratitude, tail wags, happy bark. Julian? All Dawn wants is to sink his teeth in me again. Hailey's birthday is around the corner. I've synced every message from Julian's phone to mine. Ajo, I feel awful. Just picturing you next to her makes me want to die. Be good, babe. Bear with it a little longer. Once the company goes public, we can be together forever. Tomorrow's my birthday. I really, really wish you could come. I will. Julian thought I knew nothing. While I was coaxing a huge pink diamond out of him, Dawn hugged me and murmured, "There's an urgent project up north that needs me in person, Skylar. I honestly can't stand a single day away from you. How about coming with me?" I almost burst out laughing. I wished I could nod right there and watch him flail, unable to end the charade. But I had bigger fish to fry. So, considerate as ever, I packed for him. "I won't go, I don't want to distract you. Travel safe, take care of yourself." No sooner had the words left my mouth than Julian exhaled in clear relief. Seeing the brightest smile Dawn ever worn, my own excitement stirred. If the dog is plotting to bite me, I have to beat it to death before its teeth sink in. I texted the paparazzi the hotel address and demanded a full, live feed. The moment they heard a mega-influencer scandal was brewing, they swarmed the hallway well ahead of time. Julian's call came through, his voice extra tender. "Honey, I'm in North City. Without you, I feel so lonely." His tone was soft, threaded with obvious grievance. "Meetings dragged all night, I'm beat. If only you were here, I miss you." I swallowed a laugh. From day one of our marriage, Julian's been famous for needing his wife. Dawn says Dawn can't sleep soundly unless I'm beside him, so every business trip I used to clear my schedule to fly with him. Dawn said Hailey was the ray of light in his gloomiest past, so I loved what Dawn loved and hunted down every book by his idol. I pitted his orphaned childhood and tried to shower him with all the love I had. In return, Dawn handed me betrayal. At this moment, I wanted to rip his lies open and shove his head into a toilet bowl. But that would be letting them off too easy, so I kept acting. "Hubby, I miss you too. Want me to come over?" A pause on his end, followed by faint rustling. "Julian? What are you doing?" "Julian? Babe. I'm undressing for a shower. Hit the sack now, I'll bring you a gift tomorrow. His breath was ragged, his words rushed. I smiled brightly. Ooh, can't wait for tomorrow. Sleep tight, hubby. Hailey snatched the phone and ended the call for him. Ajo, talking to that washed-up wife like that will make me jealous. When you're with me, no other woman is allowed in your head. Her spoiled tone carried a stubborn edge. Far from annoyed, Julian found her even cuter, tweaking her nose as Dawn coaxed, "Little vinegar jar, I just didn't want her bothering us." "So when are you divorcing her?" Hailey burrowed into his arms, tilted up to peck his cheek. Her cool little hands slid like snakes across his body, finally circling a sensitive spot. "Ajo, let's stay together forever." Her unfinished words were swallowed by Julian's lust-drenched kiss. "Ajo." Hailey's lips parted, innocence laced with seduction. "Ajo, hold me." Looking down at her adorable, helpless expression, Julian remembered the unreachable idol Dawn once worshipped, now trembling beneath his desire. "Hailey, I love you." Dawn greedily drank in her scent, claiming every corner of her body. While the two were tangled in passion, I stayed busy. As soon as the call ended, I ordered a courier surprise to room 1808 in Julian's name. I plugged a flash drive into his laptop and typed the password. Every line of Sterling's core tech was inside. Julian assumed I was clueless about business, so Dawn never bothered to hide anything, just set a password I supposedly didn't know. Dawn forgot, as the only child of business tycoon Victor Vance, how poor could my instincts be? In fact, every rung of Julian's climb had my invisible boost behind it. Without me, Dawn'd be nothing. At lightning speed, I copied all of Sterling's crown jewel data onto the drive. I timed it, the surprise courier should be arriving any minute. Then the paparazzi sent me the livestream link. I clicked in, the caption read "Mega Influencer Crash Live." In the screen's reflection, I saw my own face, eyes once gentle now brimming with hatred. "Julian," I whispered. "I'll drag you back to hell with my own hands." Showtime. The instant the stream went live, a million viewers flooded in. Comments exploded. "Hold up, let me grab a crate of popcorn first. Which influencer? Anyone know? Dang, I can't believe I'm here for this, front row seat, baby." The camera panned to a delivery guy in a yellow uniform walking down the corridor. "Seriously?" Thought the star was showing. "Why some delivery dude?" "Streamer, where's the celeb?" "Some A-lister?" Y'all clickbaiting, right? Bet there's no influencer at all. When the courier knocked on 1808, everyone held their breath. "Sterling, your delivery." The door cracked open, no face visible. "Delivery? I didn't order anything." Julian's muffled voice drifted out. "You sure did, phone ends 1395673. The courier, afraid of dine and dash, recited the digits. "Come on, man, this whole box of adult toys is try now, pay later." Dawn began pulling items out one by one. "That's your bunny vibe, right? And the lube, yep, here's the rod." The door swung wide. "How much for everything?" "Keep the change, just go." Julian, bare-chested, grabbed the haul, only his profile flashed on camera. Viewers went wild. "Who's Hunk Daddy? Looks kinda familiar." "Nice bod, anybody catch that jawline?" "Buying a sex shop starter kit, dude's a party alright." "Roommate a guy?" Plot twist if so. Watching like every other spectator, I could hardly contain my glee. "Ajo, what's up?" Hailey asked as Julian shooed the courier. "Why stand outside? Come shower." Fresh from the bath, she padded over, voice syrupy. Wrapped in a towel, she rubbed her damp curves against him, small hands sliding to his lower abs. "Ajo, I want more." She suddenly kissed him, the camera caught her flushed face in full. The comment section detonated. Pardon me, was that Hailey? The Pure never dated Hailey? Wait. That man's Julian, host Skylar's husband. Seeing my own name chained to those two trash heaps made me nauseous. No wonder rumors said Hailey set Skylar up, she was after the hubby. My world's crushed. My idol's a homewrecker? They say the last scandal drove Skylar into clinical depression, now we have proof. What's she gonna do? My poor Skylar, how can she survive this? Screw those snakes. I scrolled through the comments and couldn't help laughing out loud. Right then, Hailey's phone rang. The two of them, tongues tangled and lost in the moment, didn't even flinch. They were burning to explore each other even more deeply. But the ringtone kept shrieking like a death knell, clearly planning to drill through their skulls until someone picked up. Furious, Hailey answered. Talk fast. I'm busy. Hailey, stop whatever you're doing. Her assistant stammered. The whole internet already knows what you're up to. Julian had cheated. It was an offense against heaven itself. So when Dawn knelt on the Vance estate's hand-knotted Persian rug and my father slapped him until blood foamed at the corner of his mouth, a single thought flashed through my mind: without me, Julian's entire net worth probably couldn't cover this rug. If Dawn stained it, how could Dawn ever pay for it? You little punk. Did you think you could trash the Vance family's crown jewel? You sneaked behind my daughter's back to sleep with some influencer. Why don't you go screw your dead father in his grave instead? Father's temples throbbed, his eyes blazing with uncontainable rage, looking ready to devour Julian on the spot. Dad, I lost my head for a second. I know I was wrong, Dad. Julian didn't even wipe the blood from his lips. Dawn shot me a guilty glance, then kowtowed to my father, his face already swollen and purple. Dad, please give me one more chance. I'll treat Skylar right from now on, never again, I swear. Father kicked him flying. I'm not your dad. Get out of my house and don't ever let me see your miserable face again. Dad. I stepped forward, voice soft, and slipped my arm through his. Give Julian one more chance. Dawn already knows Dawn was wrong. Skylar? You actually want to forgive him? I nodded. A single day of marriage brings 100 days of grace. As long as Julian repents, I'm willing to try again. I looked at Julian, hair disheveled, streaks of blood drying on his face. We hadn't even gotten started. Dawn wasn't miserable enough yet. Honey, I'll change, I swear. I know I messed up. If you'll just forgive me, I'll work like a slave to make it up to you. Beat me, curse me, I won't complain. Dawn crawled on his knees and wrapped his arms around my legs, begging. Being my slave isn't necessary. I took half a step back, dodging his touch. But I'm a talk show host, and your sleaze has humiliated me in front of all of America. You owe me a public reckoning. Julian's face went paper white. Honey, just name it, anything, even if you want me dead. I stared down at him, ice cold. I'm holding a press conference. You and Hailey are going to apologize to me in front of the whole world. Okay, I promise, first thing tomorrow. Dawn agreed in a rush, terrified I might change my mind. I have no idea how Dawn talked Hailey into it. The next day the press conference began right on schedule. Under the popping flashbulbs I dissolved in tears. Vance, what's the purpose of today's press conference? What are your plans going forward? Sterling, how could you betray a wife like this to chase an influencer older than yourself? Dawn, didn't you once say you wanted one love for one lifetime? Was Sterling that love? Didn't you realize this was a threesome? Facing the reporter's razor-sharp questions, Hailey and Julian only sat in silence, heads lowered, afraid to look up. I dabbed my eyes and, braced by my assistant, rose unsteadily. Drawing a shaky breath, I said, I've called this press conference first to thank everyone for your concern. Second, my husband has sincerely repented, and I've decided to give him another chance. After all, the bond between us isn't something any random stray cat or dog can break. Without turning, I knew Hailey's eyes were boring into my back, venomous with hatred. Skylar, she hasn't apologized yet, you can't let her off, a fan shouted from the crowd. Yeah, make Hailey say sorry. Homewrecker Hailey, apologize now. The room threatened to erupt, someone even tried to rush the stage. Everyone, please, there's been a misunderstanding, I called out, loud and clear. This press conference was actually Hailey's idea. She insisted on kneeling before the cameras to beg my forgiveness. Hailey's face turned the color of ash, she looked at Julian in panic. Julian hadn't seen this twist coming either. Dawn stepped forward, coaxing softly, Skylar, isn't forcing her to kowtow a bit much? I gave a cold laugh. Oh? Forgot those days you knelt washing dishes to survive? But when it's your little sweetheart, suddenly it's too harsh. Julian blanked for a couple of seconds, then caught up. His jaw clenched. Sterling's IPO was still under Vance's control. Dawn had no choice but to plaster on an ingratiating smile. All right, I'll have her apologize. In front of the blazing cameras, Hailey, bloodless, knelt on the ice-cold floor and knocked her head over and over. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have seduced your husband. I have no shame. The wave of camera shudders and jeering laughter cut into her pride like razor-edged blades. Humiliation and despair swallowed her whole. Ah! A scream tore from someone's throat. Hailey's eyes rolled back and she crumpled at my feet. The press conference dissolved into chaos. Julian was frantic, but Dawn didn't dare move a muscle. In the end, Lola found a few burly security guards who hauled Hailey off like a sack of potatoes. When the press conference ended, Julian vanished too. Only that night did Lola cautiously tell me, Skylar, Hailey, is pregnant. Whose? Julian's? When Lola nodded, I burst out laughing. This was getting better and better. The next morning I showed up at the hospital with a fruit basket. Julian was crooning as Dawn coaxed her to finish her congee. Hailey, darling, you have to eat, or I'll be heartbroken. Hailey pouted. After what I suffered, how can I even think of food? Don't worry, sweetheart, I'll get justice for you, and for our baby. And how exactly does Sterling plan to do that? I asked from the doorway. Seeing me, Hailey shrank into his arms like a terrified bunny. Julian stared at me, eyes hooded with darkness. Skylar, for old time's sake, let's not make this uglier than it has to be. Luckily, you never gave me a child in all these years. Now Hailey's carrying my baby, so pick a date and we'll sign the papers, clean and civilized. I answered, mild as milk, no time like the present, how about today, Julian? I'd already shifted most of our assets. Add the fact Dawn was the guilty party, and Julian walked away with nothing but Sterling itself. We stepped out of the courthouse. Skylar, this is where our road ends, let's share one last hug. I sneered. Hard pass. Dad says I shouldn't associate with street beggars. Julian's face flushed scarlet, cheeks bulging with rage. Skylar, you've always looked down on me. But besides pedigree, what don't I do better than you? I built Sterling with my own hands, and now that we're divorced it's finally free of Vance. Once we go public, the first company I swallow will be yours. Is that so? I watched his tantrum with detached calm. Well, if that's all, I'll be going, Sterling. I climbed into the car my assistant had left idling at the curb. How's Bloomtech doing? I asked. Lola thumped her chest. Skylar, everything's locked and loaded, just waiting for the green light to IPO. Extra fried chicken for you. Thank you, Skylar. Lola floored the pedal, a plume of exhaust blasted from the tailpipe, leaving Julian standing alone in the wind. I sent him a silent blessing, May the subway crowds never stamp his shoes off in the rush hour crush. A month later Sterling and I filed our IPO applications on the same day. The business summit 3 days afterward would be the decisive moment. I took a long medical leave from my show and holed up in my own office with Lola every day. On the morning of the summit, Sterling's listing was rejected, flagged for stealing Bloomtech's proprietary data. Bloomtech alone qualified to go public. When the verdict was announced, I rose from my seat in the last row. Meeting Julian's stunned gaze, "Skylar. How can it be you?" I looked at him with a half-smile. "My compliments, Sterling." "Bloomtech, flower, it's Skylar." Julian's pupils contracted sharply, something flashed through his mind. Dawn remembered how Dawn had once carelessly told me the passwords, never imagining I was out to steal Sterling's crown jewel data. Julian roared, "Those core algorithms were developed through years of our blood and sweat, how could they be stolen?" "It was you. You bitch, you ripped off Sterling's data." "I should have seen it coming." I folded my arms, ice cold. "So what if I did? I registered Bloomtech long before I ever met you." To spare your fragile ego, I sheathed my claws and played the quiet wife. "You didn't know how to cherish what you had. As a Vance subsidiary, those technologies have simply come home. Skylar, I'll sue you. I'll sue you for industrial espionage." Julian was on the verge of collapse. "Go ahead, file the papers right now." I gave a chilly laugh. "I've already patented every line of that code." "Sterling, care to guess who the court will decide is the real thief?" Disbelief still clung to Julian's voice. "You set me up? From the day we got together you've been plotting against me?" I shook my head. "To be precise, ever since you and Hailey rolled around in the car I bought you." "Skylar. You snake. Bitch. You'll rot in." I watched security drag him out. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass Dawn screamed like a madman. His meltdown amused me. Our eyes locked for an instant. In the glass's reflection a contemptuous smile surfaced. Soundlessly I shaped the words, "Julian, we're not done. The finale is still to come." After Vance pulled its investment, Sterling was little more than an empty shell. Stripped of its core data, sued into the ground, and staring at massive damages to Bloomtech, Julian held on half a year before declaring bankruptcy. Word is Dawn and Hailey are crammed into a 20-square-foot studio, waiting for the baby to drop. Dad's getting on, Dawn's tired of the boardroom blood sport. Dawn bought a farm abroad and took Mom there to retire among the cows and chickens. I merged Bloomtech into Vance. In front of the camera I'm Riverdale's sweetest showrunner, behind it I'm the Vance's iron-fisted chairwoman. The day Hailey gave birth, I sent Lola to deliver a gift. Outside the hospital a knot of her die-hard fans had gathered. They'd recorded encouraging clips that looped on the lobby screen, wishing our Hailey a smooth delivery. "May Hailey and the baby be healthy and happy." "Hailey, you're the best, fighting." Suddenly the screen went black. Moments later new footage rolled, Hailey from years ago, stark naked, moaning under the roaming hands of 4 black men, eyes glazed with pleasure. Honestly, when I first unearthed the clip I couldn't believe the woman letting them take her every which way was Hailey, the same girl who'd sold America on her Pure Girl brand. The video cycled on the hospital's giant monitor. "That woman, is that Hailey?" "No. I don't believe it, Hailey's so innocent, how could she do something that filthy? God, she's disgusting. Never thought she was this kind of person. Help, I liked something so revolting, my eyes need bleach." If I remember right, her current husband was snatched from someone else. She really has no bottom line. The fans exploded. They tossed their gifts, cursing as they stormed off, a few even gagged on the spot, wailing that their youth had been fed to a dog. Hailey's name rocketed up the trending list. #Hailey group action, #Hailey cancelled, #Hailey babyborn scandal. Videos were shot, shared, reposted, comments snowballed by the second. The maternity ward turned into a circus. Lola later reported, Hailey had just delivered and, weak as she was, dragged herself out of bed. "Az, did you see our son? The Sterling line finally has an heir." Julian stepped up and slapped her. "Air your ass, who knows whose seed that is?" When she realized what was airing, Hailey lost it on the spot. While Julian kept cursing, she grabbed a scalpel and stabbed half a dozen holes in him. The onlookers called the cops. That saved Julian's life, and Hailey was hauled off to the psych ward. An influencer with 10 million fans had spun her own cocoon and suffocated in it. Mom called, insisting I fly to the States to meet some blonde, blue-eyed hunk. I had zero interest, but her routine, tears, tantrums, threats, wore me down. Plus her birthday was coming. If I didn't show, Dad would lecture me for a week. So I dragged my luggage out the door and found Julian standing there, baby in his arms, staring at me. I rolled my eyes and yelled back inside, "Johnson, don't toss the leftovers, give them to the beggar on the step." Julian's face went scarlet. "Skylar, don't be like this." His voice was thick, every word seemed wrenched out of him. "I really know I was wrong." I nodded briskly. "Great. Now that you know, scram. Don't drop dead on my porch, bad luck." Dawn looked straight at me. "Skylar, I know you're still angry, but it's all in the past. And haven't you always wanted a child?" Dawn held the baby up like an offering. "Look. Dawn's white, plump, and Dawn has my blood. Let him be your son, okay?" Ridiculous, so absurd I wondered if Dawn was developmentally delayed. "Julian, did you get your brain as a cereal box prize? Shameless much? Still dare crawl back begging for forgiveness? Skylar, give me one more chance." His voice cracked. I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly fell out. "Listen up, Julian. Even if every man on earth dropped dead tomorrow, I still wouldn't spare you a glance." "Oh, right." As I brushed past him I stopped and enunciated every syllable. "One more thing I forgot to mention. All these years we never had a kid, and it's your fault. The doctor said childhood malnutrition left you infertile." I could have told him that ages ago, but where's the fun? Let him believe Hailey's baby was his. Then, when Dawn owns nothing but that child, plunge the blade in and twist, let it shred his heart. "Julian, you earned every drop of agony." Time galloped on, the year-end arrived in a blink. Bedroom lights were low and dreamy overseas as I tangled with the blonde hunk Mom picked when Lola rang. "Skylar, mega news, mega news." My mood shattered. "Lola, this better be primo gossip or you're dead the minute I land." She chirped. Julian took the kid for a paternity test. Kid's not his. Blown away, Dawn dropped the baby, killed it. Now Dawn's doing life for murder. Dawn'll rot behind bars till dawn's dust. Skylar, like the story? A grin spread across my face. Buy yourself a bucket of wings on me. Outside the window the moon was perfectly round, everyone had reaped what they sowed. The chapter was finished. Behind me, Mom's hand-picked Western husband pulled me close, murmuring broken Chinese, "Bao bao, focus on me." Then soft kisses rained down. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked the video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.